The issue of safe scholar transport is once again under the spotlight. That's after a horrific crash that killed 19 school children and 2 adults in uPhongolo in KwaZulu-Natal. Today we focus on how dangerous modes of transport can be for pupils. eNCA senior reporter Dasen Thathia is tracking the story for us and joins us live yet again. Dasen, you know, this story continues to be quite heartbreaking for many. Many are still shocked that 19 lives lost. Honestly, what do we know about government's plans to ensure that we no longer see pupils actually being taken to school in bakkies?
Well, plans have been afoot for the longest time. In fact, there's a policy that dictates that certain pupils need to use or need to be provided with scholar transport, and that is where they have to make more than a 10-kilometer return trip every day. The problem is the budgets, and that's why we're not seeing it in its entirety. So we're only seeing about 60,000 pupils that are benefiting from that in the province. That's according to the Education Department. But here in uPhongolo, you know, there are two very significant issues. The one is that of scholar transport, and the other is well, this problem that you see behind me, the fact that the N2 runs through the town, and it is this close to houses that are on either side of me. The fact that school children walk here, and you have big vehicles that are traveling on this road and sometimes driving recklessly. But those two issues, when it comes to this accident, they're not mutually exclusive. So the two problems certainly do exist. On the one hand, the added issue here is that parents sometimes choose their own schools, which effectively means that they then make transport arrangements for those kids, and those transport arrangements include traveling on the backs of bakkies. The other problem is that with this being the N2, it is quite busy, and you have the yellow line off to the side. That's where you'll also see school pupils traveling after school and to school in the morning. So it's certainly not an ideal situation. You mentioned government. They were here yesterday, a delegation including transport, education, social development, to deal with this issue. Some residents argue that it's too little too late because there's already been a loss of lives, but they are also grateful for the intervention if it brings the promised change. One of the key issues that came out, which I guess deals with both of those issues that I mentioned, scholar transport and the issue of trucks, is enforcement, law enforcement, traffic officers being stationed here. We had an opportunity to speak to the acting Premier, Normalization, yesterday about that issue. Let's listen to what she had to say to us.
We have received that assessment. That was a complaint that's saying there is lack of enforcement in the area. MEC Hlomuga in the morning was part of that particular briefing. He received it, and we have made an undertaking that in the next couple of days we will be engaging with RTI, and as a provincial government we will go to the Executive Council sometime towards the end of the week and come up with a proper plan of how we deal with the enforcement. And we believe that, you know, one of the issues that were raised when we were engaging is the issue of the weight bridge, and the community and the councillors in the area are saying there actually should have been a weight bridge in the border between Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal, and MEC Hlomuga has taken those particular issues. Of course, he might not be able to implement that on his own, but we are happy that the National Department of Transport is also here, and they will assist us in fast-tracking whatever that needs to be implemented.
So how are the families doing, though? I don't know if you've had an opportunity to visit some of the families. How are they doing?
We did. We went out to some of those families yesterday. You would imagine that they are certainly distraught because of the tragedy that unfolded here. But they've also said to us that options are very limited. They wouldn't knowingly put their children in danger, but unfortunately that type of transport has been normalized here. But even in the midst of their grief, some of the families that we spoke to did make a call for safer modes of transport for children. I spoke to the mother of Sandiso Nkosi. He's one of the children that passed away as a result of that crash. He was just 8 years old, and his brother was meant to have been traveling in that bakkie on that day, but for some reason or the other didn't, and ended up traveling in another vehicle, and was, as a result of that, spared. And you know, it's a very bittersweet moment for that family, considering that that other child came that close to also passing away. But they're certainly broken by the passing of Sandiso. That mother spoke to me about the issue of scholar transport. Let's listen to what she had to say during an interview yesterday.
Mayingasilekelela ngetransport yalabantwana asilekelele nangabo driver abaqeqeshekile abazohambisa abantwana esikolweni. Maybe lokho kwenzeke namhlanje angeke kuphinde kwenzeke.
And then talk to us about the case from yesterday. The gentleman has been remanded in custody, that's the truck driver, but there was also a bit of issue around broadcasting from court. We understand that he requested that it not be filmed for his own security because he also intends on applying for bail. Talk to us about proceedings from yesterday.
A lot of anger in this community, Mfunda, understandably so, mostly because they say they've been dealing with this issue for a very long time, and now, in light of what's happened, and especially with that dashcam footage being released, they are claiming that it's negligence that caused this accident. In fact, the state is also alleging that reckless driving was part of the reason. So the accused in this matter, Sibusiso Siyaya, is saying that he's worried about his safety, and that's why he didn't want to be filmed, because he's aware of the tense environment that exists here in uPhongolo at this point. So he intends to apply for bail. That is most likely to happen next week, Monday. That's when he'll be back in court. And that'll also be an opportunity for that decision to be reviewed. Remember, one of the reasons why the court ruled in his favor was because at that point he didn't have legal representation yet. Right now, he's been provisionally granted legal aid. And that may change depending on a needs analysis. But one way or another, he remains in custody and he'll be back in court next week, Monday, for that bail application.
All right, Dasen, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much for that update. That's eNCA senior reporter Dasen Thathia.